In the offseason, the 49ers decided Brock Purdy is the future. He is our franchise quarterback we are going to stick it out with. He brought us to back-to-back NFC Championship games, and the year after they lost to the Eagles when he got hurt, that UCL injury, brought him very close to winning a Super Bowl. Last year, a very down year for San Francisco. Injuries all over the place. Christian McCaffrey goes down. Ayuk with an ACL injury. Very tough. Understand it. Dre Greenlaw not being able to be healthy after he got hurt in that Super Bowl. No Dre Greenlaw anymore. They shipped Deebo Samuel off to the Washington Commanders. There goes Deebo Samuel. So the San Francisco 49ers and their identity, who will they be? Well, Kyle Shanahan is back. The 2025 year is going to be a whole lot of McCaffrey. They need him to be healthy. My concern is, how will he stay healthy? Is it possible for him to do so when the mantra, sort of the theme throughout his career has been a lack of that ability to do so? So the 2025 San Francisco 49ers season, all predicted right here. I think that week one at Seattle, they get a loss, 17-22. The quarterback at Seattle looks to be Sam Darnold, who played very well for the Minnesota Vikings a season ago. This one is more so, I think it's a bit of rust. Brock Purdy being able to get that offense kick-started. George Kittle, of course, top 3 tight end in the National Football League. You got Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, of course, paired with hopefully Brandon Ayuk is back. We'll see to the extent if he's able to be back next year and be a healthy version of himself. But Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker for Seattle, I think that they have something working there to help Sam Darnold out, like their pick in Emin Wari out of South Carolina in Seattle. Like, this is a good Seattle football team, and San Francisco getting a loss week one is not horrible. Week 2 against the Saints, this is really where they flex their muscle. That Michael Williams, 11th overall pick in the NFL draft. This was a guy out of Georgia. Go watch the tape against Texas. In both of those games, he was the best player on the football field. That's why he went very high as a first rounder. This player is explosive. He's dynamic, being able to stop the run and get after. I think he has 2.5 sacks at the Saints on the road. It's tough for San Francisco starting the year with back-to-back road games. After they start 0-1, I think they get after Tyler Shuck and get even 1-1 on the year. The offense being able to gel a bit more. Week 3, it's a win against the Cardinals in their home opener, 20-16. This is where they lean on George Kittle. McCaffrey, his ability that no one else really has at the running back position, catching the football out of the backfield. Remember, this is a Cardinals defense that is quite young. Jordan Burch at the edge spot. Cody Simon in the middle of that defense from Ohio State. The Rose Bowl defensive MVP, the national championship defensive MVP, Denzel Burke at the corner spot. They're going to be working out some kinks on the defensive side of the ball throughout the year. How are the 49ers going to stop Marvin Harrison Jr.? I have him pegged to be a top 8 wide receiver. Very, very tough to guard this year, especially when you don't have Charvarius Ward. That San Francisco secondary is not what it has been in years past. You don't have Talanoa Hufanga anymore. I'm just looking at them right now. Dominic Lenoir's good. Trey Brown from Seattle. Mustafa Brown, Bernardo Green. Like that secondary is weakened for sure. It is not at that elite level, especially you don't have Buckner and Armstead in the middle of that defense and the edge spot. You're going to need to have a bit of production for San Francisco. Opposite of Nick Bosa, who does that end up being? Obviously, we will have to see, but a start on the year, 2-1. This is where things really just get super frustrating for San Francisco. It's a week 4 loss against the Jags at home, 28-24. Just think that Travis Hunter flexes his muscle a little bit. I'm all about the college game, love following it. This guy makes an impact on both sides of the football, catches Brock Purdy, trying to throw the ball out beyond the range of what his arm is, that they're able to limit George Kittle, and it really shows just how unexplosive the 49ers are, save for Kittle and McCaffrey. Specifically, what I'm saying here is on the outside. Ricky Pearsall, can he be that guy for San Francisco? Certainly what he was for the Gators, but in the National Football League, what can he provide? I just like Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker getting after Purdy in this game. Is Trent Williams the guy he has been in the past? Most likely not. He takes a little bit of a step as he gets a little bit older. So 2-2 heading into a Thursday night game against the division rival, the Los Angeles Rams. They got them with a win, 26-21. It's a huge one on the road. They're able to do all those things I mentioned. Pearsall is able to be an impact. The Rams' biggest weakness is on the outside. The middle of that defense on the front with Byron Young and Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, all those young players that have talent. That's not what you want to do. Putting McCaffrey for 28 carries like Shanahan wants to do. It's taking advantages. It's taking your shots with Brock Purdy and that offense and getting stops the defensive side of the ball. Can they limit, of course, Nakua and Devontae Adams? They get a win. They're 3-2. It's week 6. Week 5 with that win against the Rams. Week 6, he continues to roll 23-17 at the Bucs on the road. 2 massive road wins. They're able to limit the best trio of wide receivers. You can argue me if you want, but Emeka Egbuka, Chris Godwin, if he's healthy, and Mike Evans. Those are 2 question marks. Is Mike Evans still the same guy? Is Chris Godwin better coming back from the injury? Those are very good questions. Remember, there's still Jalen McMillan, and they drafted Tez Johnson. Like, that is a 4-deep receiving core with the ability to bring in Tez to have a bit of versatility on that offense. I like the 49ers to win that game just because I think they can run the football. I do think this is a team where they're able to run the ball and get the consistency pretty out of the play action where it's effective and they can do it. They're going to win it. So I got that win 4-2 after 6 weeks of the year. And this is at this point where I think things take a turn for the worse. It's a Sunday night game at home against the Falcons, and Penix just flexes that left arm of his. He's able to hit Drake London. Bijan Robinson is able to run all over the place. They can't run the football like they have the past couple of weeks, and they fall to 4-3, which is a game that I think sends things going in the negative direction. Again, remember that San Francisco, the past couple of years, when they're running the football and they have Purdy running play action off of it, or even they had Jimmy Garoppolo, very tough to stop because they could get the stops on the defensive side of the ball to get their offense back on the field. And if they're not having the same amount of takeaways because of the lack of continuity within that defense, it becomes a bit tougher. Week 8, I've got another tough loss against the Texans. I think they lose 24-17, but it's not that close. That Houston, just with Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins, Nico Collins, if Tank Dell's back, that receiving core I just mentioned, that Tampa's got a great one. That one is just up there for one of the best in football, that CJ Stroud is able to find those guys and make it a very tough day for what is a down Niner secondary. It's not saying that to be rude. It's just the truth of what they are compared to where they've been in the past, especially up front. All these guys have had to been paid. You had to pay George Kittle all that money, Fred Warner all that money, Trent Williams all that money. Brock Purdy, you just end up losing guys. That's how you lose Buckner and Armstead and Hufanga and Ward and Greenlaw. You just are not able. Maybe Greenlaw was offered a bit more money for the 49ers. He wanted to go and be the focal point of a defense in the middle, but they dropped to 4-4 against the Texans. This is the kill shot for San Francisco. I think it's a road loss against the Giants. That's a team that, with their front four, I think is a horrible matchup with what they possess on the defensive side of the ball. With Thibodeau bringing in Abdul Carter, this is a defense that you really don't want to face. Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, best front four in the National Football League, all said together. Like, if you can run the ball against them, I understand that's not the specific strength, but all of those guys can be plenty good stopping the run. Like Abdul Carter a year ago, what do you have? 17 tackles for loss last season with Penn State, an absolute force, maybe the best player in college football. So you added there for the Giants, and they're able to just get the ball to Malik Neighbors when they need to and win a tight one, 21-17. But at that point, 4-5 for San Francisco. And the main theme is Brock Purdy the last couple of weeks. 17 against Houston, 14 against Atlanta, and 17 against the Giants. They're not able to get over that 20-point mark 3 weeks in a row, and all of the questions are circulating about whether they should have paid Brock Purdy, and it continues because the next week, in week 10, it's a loss 32-21 with a couple of garbage points. At this point, the 49ers, after starting 4-2, fall to 4-6 on the year after they just can't stop Matthew Stafford. That offense will take a second for Los Angeles to get that rhythm with Devontae, building that chemistry with Matthew Stafford. Even took Adams and Rodgers a couple games to really get it back there. But Adams, Nakua, the defense side of the ball, just absolutely humming. 4-6 for San Francisco at that point. And again, the rumors, whatever you want to hear about the locker room, starting to swirl. 4-7. I got another loss at the Cardinals. Again, this is a tough team in Arizona. How stopping Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be one of the tougher matchups. He's gotten shredded in the offseason. Kyler Murray, that might be one of the best connections to go with for the upcoming season, and they altered everything. Will Johnson, I think that he's going to be able to shut down Pierce Juan Jennings, Ayuk, anyone that they have his way. Denzel Burke on the other side has been covering Marvin Harrison Jr. and other Ohio State Buckeyes like Jeremiah Smith and Ibuka in practice all that time, and it's going to prove very tough to be able to come up with yards against the Cardinals. I got them 4-7, and then the kill shot, of course, a couple of weeks ago, but 4-8. It just continues to fall downhill. A loss on Monday Night Football, and they lose it to the Carolina Panthers. Again, an improved team. They went out and took Lathan Ransom from the Ohio State Buckeyes. They got Kyle Kennard out of South Carolina, and they've made improvements to the defensive side of the ball. Carolina really with an emphasis over their Princely Uman Mielen from Ole Miss, like just trying to transform what their pass rush is. Ted McMillan on the outside, and it's San Francisco once again in this secondary giving up 23 points to Carolina, and they fall to 4-8 on the year. You can't be thinking about draft position, because what do you need draft position for? Like elite defensive talent. You're not looking for a quarterback anytime soon. Maybe if you're 4-8 and you didn't pay a quarterback $55 million a year for the next 4 or 5 years plus, and hinging all of the success of your team on that position, which you are in this case, and it backfiring, in my opinion, for next year. In 2025 for San Francisco, I got a win against the Browns, 27-16. They'll shut it down. Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, whoever it is that trots out against San Francisco, they'll be able to run the football against Cleveland. I know Mason Graham's there and Myles Garrett, but the balance against Cleveland just a little bit faster on the side of San Francisco being able to open up. So they get a win at 5-8 before the bye week, and then it just continues a bit more negativity. A loss against the Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward out of the bye, 27-17. It's just a whole bunch of negativity. A lot of fans, maybe like yourself for San Francisco, not as enthralled and starting to watch as much, and certainly as closely. At that point, they would drop to 5-9. I've got a road game against the Colts that they lose 27-23 on Monday Night Football. The NFL decide, let's backload the 49ers schedule. Let's throw the Colts Monday night, the Bears Sunday night, all these games. But it winds up just kind of producing something that you're not all that excited for a Monday night game. The Sunday night game could get flexed out of, and so they wind up 5-10 with 2 games left. I think they get a win against the Bears at a flexed out of position against Chicago at home at Levi Stadium. That's been a very tough place to play for Chicago. Go back to 2012 on a Monday night game, and a 7-2 Chicago Bears team that wound up losing that game with Colin Kaepernick running all over the place. Remember last year when the Bears came in there, like being okay, it was off of losing to the Lions and the Packers and the Vikings, a little bit in that stretch. And Chicago thought that they could run up and play a good game against the 49ers, and San Francisco just could not be stopped throughout that game. Final game of the season, they get a win against Seattle. The Seahawks, they're able to right the ship somewhat, 7-10 to finish the year and bounce up a couple spots in the draft order, somewhere in the early mid-teens, like 13, 14 in the draft positioning, maybe 12 once again, similar to what they were a year ago. But the overall consensus is frustration. It is somewhat climactic because they put all this money into Purdy. They've banked it all on it working out, and if it doesn't next year because of maybe injuries on the side, whether that's to the left tackle, whether that's to one of their key players once again. But I just don't see a whole lot of depth the same way that there was on this team, as well as the playmakers like Ayuk off the injury, it's just tough in my opinion with McCaffrey, him coming off, who had been so good, and now you're relying on them with that production being paid amongst the top, the most in football. So 7 and 10 for San Francisco, disappointing, and that's what I think. Obviously, I could be wrong. I recorded this video from Los Angeles, and it is July. So I want you to understand that if I'm talking about things and guys have already been hurt and I've talked about it throughout the video, I'm currently myself, not myself here in LA, myself in the current time when you're watching this video, I'm in Africa. So I came out a couple weeks, wanted to make the content for the next NFL season, have it there so we can get some momentum rolling into next year. So if I had anyone that I talked about that's been hurt, it won't be a factor for next year. Understand that I was in Africa for the filming or the timing of which you watch this. But anyway, appreciate you so much for watching. When I'm back from Africa, I'm going to be coming out with football content all throughout next season, and you can probably tune into a whole lot more prediction or preview videos for the 25 year as I'm dropping 32 of them for the National Football League. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Appreciate you. Gang, gang, Niner gang. Hopefully. We'll see.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blunder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa.